I like fried oysters. I can eat them all day. It's one of my favorite things. Fried seafood town, New Orleans is king. Right, King Mayor?
Absolutely.
We were talking about frying oysters. We diverged a bit on how we would approach
We
it.
politely disagree.
I'm gonna try something I've only heard about, but it sounds really interesting, only with the whites of the eggs.
Flat surface, right?
It's not a hard edge. And instead of cracking an egg going back and forth, you crack all the eggs in a bowl, you go in and you pull out the yolks. And then I'll reach in and pull them out.
That's the fun thing, and you get to do the fun thing.
You can do the fun thing. So now it's easy, just kind of use your hands as a mesh and leave the whites behind.
Yep. This feels so much fun. It is easier this way, you were right. I would have gone back and forth in the shell, and it would have taken me a lot longer to do it. It's actually pretty amazing.
Now the dry mix. You always bread and cornmeal. It's white cornmeal, which you love and you use, correct?
Love it. Crunchy.
Yes. A little bit of flour so you can get close to your prepackaged mix that you buy.
I use flour, but sparingly.
As am I. The controversial ingredient,
Panko.
dried Japanese white bread
That you've ground down to a very fine texture.
that I ground down to a very fine texture.
But I like that part of it.
I like it because it gets very, very crispy and very dry. It's more like a flour.
Yeah.
And now I'm just gonna season it. Dried garlic powder, which I never see anywhere except in New Orleans.
Really? Onion powder.
Onion powder,
Smells good.
cayenne.
I definitely use a lot of cayenne in mine as well.
Was that a lot? That's good.
You could add more.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, a little more. There we go. White pepper
Delicious.
and celery seed, which you showed an interest in.
Right. That's a smart idea.
Well, we'll taste and see. I'm only doing this for the oyster. And the last thing, fine salt.
Just go light.
Why would I go light?
Because you can always add salt after it's fried. That's what I like.
Oysters are also,
Salty.
and what is the predominant ingredient in onion and garlic powder?
Salt. How'd I do?
Very good. B minus.
B minus. I got them all right. I get a B minus.
That's kind of it. It looks heavy on the cayenne, but you
No,
know,
it's
we'll
not.
see. So there's the spice mix. We're not putting a dry ingredient on before going to the wet ingredient, which is a standard breading procedure,
Right.
which I don't do, you don't believe in.
I don't believe in.
How many oysters did you say you had? 300?
Oh, you have a lot of oysters. All right, so the great New Orleans French bread. I've heard theories that there's the water that makes our French bread so good, that it's the altitude, sea level, the natural yeast in the air.
It's not. Is it a natural yeast?
Yeah.
Okay.
If not,
and
it makes for a good story.
You know what I've heard also? New Orleans is a proof box.
Really?
It's not in a sterile proofing environment.
Maybe that's what I mean by the natural yeast.
You don't believe in end pieces, do you?
No, I don't.
either.
That's good that we didn't have to talk about that. The right French bread for a po' boy has the perfect amount of crunch on top, but also has a lot of give. Those things are getting squished as you eat it, which means they're
You should be able to hold it with one hand
Right.
and not have it disintegrate.
soft enough to hold everything, but crunchy, because it's a very textural thing that you get that crunch on top. Oh, it's so good.
So I'm gonna bread the oysters. One of the keys to successful breading, one hand wet, one hand dry. Otherwise you end up breading your fingers.
End up like a zombie.
They're a mouthful. A lot of people intimidated by Louisiana oysters.
Yeah, they think they're so big and, oh, I could never eat all that. Louisiana oysters grow in brackish water at the estuary of the Mississippi River, where all this amazing fresh water coming out meets the salt water, and that's where the fattest oysters grow. They're richer.
Thicker shell, sweet.
Yep.
Sometimes coppery.
Yep, I love the coppery. So when you fry these oysters, they just seem to be a little bit more delicious for a po' boy.
I would agree.
I'd like to just try them all and keep trying them all.
Even if we haven't decided, we can try
Just
some
keep
more.
try some more. So we have about 24 oysters ready to roll. Generous, po' boy, yeah. So we're gonna fry these things?
No, we're gonna toast the bread. I like to have the bread just a little bit warm,
Right.
get the butter melted. I was thinking of shredding finely lettuce and cabbage and tossing them together.
Adds crispiness, it can't hurt. In New Orleans, we just say dressed. Lettuce, tomato,
Mayonnaise.
and pickle, an essential way to make a po' boy. That's just me.
And you don't like pickles.
I think pickles are too strong of a flavor. I think they skew the whole taste. Getting toasty,
Okay, let's get it out.
crunchy.
Okay, tomatoes.
This is really good French bread, but it's super fresh, you can tell. Okay.
All right, we're ready to fry oysters and make some sandwiches. Let me see if the temperature is, stick your finger, just tip of your finger.
Sure.
And you are gonna cook them till they're golden brown, yet perfectly cooked and moist and tender in the very center of the oyster.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Here we go.
ready?
Yeah.
Go.
Our oil, yep. great sound. I know people who go on diets where they don't eat any fried food. I don't get that. I'm serious, I don't get that.
How are they looking?
Pretty good.
Ooh, yeah. It adheres pretty nicely. So what do you think about that breading now?
They're certainly crunchy. They are crunchy. I don't know about panko though, man. It seems like it's cheating.
All right, so.
A little hot sauce? Yeah. It's another liquid that gets absorbed in the bread.
And no pickles, because you don't like pickles.
It's a good looking po' boy.
That's not bad. Not bad for a first effort, huh?
First effort, you're pretty good at this. You ought to try it.
Yeah, hope the bread's not toasted too much.
Hope the panko doesn't ruin it.
It could use some pickles.
Delicious. Can we eat these?
Yeah.
Good. Crunchy.
Too crunchy?
You ought to do this for a living.
That's sexy right there.
Right? It's good. Guys, we have to eat these po' boys. These are so good.